In Europe, summer vacation is coming to an end and many people are traveling back from their holiday destination. If their plan was to go to a beautiful holiday destination and forget all the stress about daily life, there is one thing that can ruin it all very quickly, and that is flight issues. Annulations, delays, overbooked flights, missing connections or flight deviations. All of these scenarios are pretty nerve-wracking for travelers, especially because flights are quite expensive. It is therefore only fair if they receive some kind of monetary compensation if they had to deal with any of these issues. But if you have ever tried to enforce claims against an airline by yourself before, you know how difficult this is. First of all, it is going to take you hours, literally hours, to get somebody on the phone to talk to, because the phone queues are often endless. If you actually manage to get somebody to talk to you, they are never able to help you. They will always either forward you to another number or tell you to fill out a form online. If you do that, you will either never hear back from them ever again, or they will delay your case forever. Based on my personal experience as a legal counsel who has dealt with quite a lot of these cases, I'm gonna claim that it is almost impossible for an average person to get their money back from an airline, especially if they don't have a legal background. When I was younger, I've tried to get some money back from an airline once or twice in my life, but at some point I've always given up. And this is exactly what the airlines are counting on. They make the whole process of getting money back from them so extremely exhausting that at some point more than 90% of the people eventually give up. And this way the airlines get to keep their money in their pocket instead of paying it back to their clients. Luckily nowadays there is one way that makes it a lot easier for travelers to enforce claims against airlines, and that is with the help of companies that have specialized in exactly this problem. The most common ones of these companies in Europe are Flightride, Skycop or Cancelled for clients in Switzerland. On an international level there is AirClaim and AirHelp, for instance. All of these companies have made it their goal to enforce passenger rights against airlines, and they have all the necessary resources that they need to enforce the claims against the airlines, and their lawyers know all the applicable laws and exceptions in case of a flight issue. What is really cool about these companies is that if you request their services, they will only charge you a fee if they actually manage to get a compensation for you. In this case, you will pay a fixed share of this compensation as payment for their services. If, on the other hand, the company is not able to get a compensation for you, their services up to this point for you as a client are completely free. With the companies that I've worked with before, the share that you pay of your compensation varies between 20 and 30%. If legal proceedings had to be carried out, the share goes up to 40 or 45% of your compensation, depending on the individual company. While a 20 to 45% success fee for a company may sound like a lot to you, it is in most cases still by far your best option. Because if you try to enforce your legal rights against an airline by yourself, especially without having a legal background, you will most likely fail at some point. That means that instead of receiving between 55 to 80% of your total compensation, you will end up with zero in your pocket and with hours of wasted time. The compensation that you will receive will depend on a few different factors. For instance, the actual flight issue that you had, the distance that your flight traveled or was supposed to travel, and the number of passengers that were affected by the problem. If you travel with a family of 4, you will of course get a higher compensation than if you travel by yourself. To start this whole process, all you need to do is to go on one of these companies' websites and enter all the relevant information about your flight, such as flight number, starting and final destination, date, time, etc. You also enter your personal information, especially your contact information, and after this you simply wait until you hear back from them. What you'll also need to do in the meantime is to keep all the relevant documentation related to your flight. That means the ticket, booking confirmations, or if you have any emails or other correspondence that you exchanged with the airline. But even if you have all of these documents, it is important to mention at this point that not all flight issues qualify for a compensation. If there is so-called exceptional circumstances, the airlines cannot be held responsible. This is, for instance, the case with strikes, political unrests, severe weather issues, or security risks. However, even if this is the case, you won't lose any money and hardly any time if you try to get a compensation with the help of a company such as Flightride or AirHelp, for instance, because these companies will only charge you a fee if they actually manage to get a compensation for you. To sum it all up, I think companies like Flightride or AirHelp offer some great and indispensable support when it comes to getting your money back from an airline. I personally wish that I knew about these companies a lot earlier than I did, which is why I decided to make this video. Despite being an attorney myself, this is how I would assess claims against an airline if I had any kind of flight issues. I would do this to make sure that it takes me the least amount of work and the least amount of time possible, because really dealing with these kind of issues, especially after a vacation, is not fun to anybody. Now I really hope that you were able to learn something from this video and that it can be of some help to you if you ever need to get your money back from an airline because of a flight issue. If you have any more questions now, or if you have made your own experience with one of the companies that I mentioned or with another company that specializes in enforcing passenger rights against airlines, feel free to leave a comment down below. Other than that, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, or subscribe if you would like to see more. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to be talking to you again soon.